Before the Great War, Danny Edwards was a chauffeur. He used to be behind the wheels of a luxurious car in his dignified uniform, looking at his clean white gloves with pride. But suddenly, war changed all of that. After the prologue, this is actually the very first mission that opens up the whole battlefield experience to us. We quickly assume the role of Daniel Edwards, a British recruit joining the crew of a Mark V landship named Black Bess as their new tank driver. Edwards is clearly nervous. The scene of pigeons carrying messages of coordinated artillery strikes was something he wasn't used to. However, he has no choice but to do his job, otherwise he'd be branded a deserter. Completely new to war and inexperienced in driving this unreliable vehicle, Edwards is given his very first mission to punch through the German lines and reach Cambrai with a broken tank alongside a crew that barely has any trust in him. What I really love about Battlefield 1 is that it establishes the initial personalities of its cast very quickly. Townsend, Edward's Scottish superior at first, seems like one of those badass commander figures from those cliche military movies, but if you look at the story, his character is shown to be much more than that. Finch, the mechanic with Mancunian accent, is the first person to treat Edwards like an actual person. The English gunner Pritchard was shown to have a very peculiar sense of humor. As a side note, he seemed to care a lot about the onboard messenger pigeon, but didn't know very well how to treat it, as he wanted to feed the bird a bit of rum. McManus, the Irish gunman, he's a cynical character and appears very unlikable in the beginning. However, if we're being fair, all his crash outs were simply valid, and later in the story, he turns out to be the most developed character of all of them, and you will inevitably come to like him near the end. After taking a lot of hits from the enemy lines, Edwards has to come out to help Finch repair the tank and get it moving. But while doing that, Townsend doesn't know what's happening. He keeps shouting orders at the dying man. Without even getting the chance to grieve his comrade's death, Edwards immediately has to take over Finch's role to repair the tank and get it moving. Finch's body gets left behind. While trying to push through a village, Black Bess gets stuck in a muddy swamp. German forces quickly surround them, trying their best to pry open the landship. At that moment, Townsend is forced to make a suicidal decision. He orders an artillery strike aimed at their own location. McManus is understandably against the strike, as it will kill all of them.
Edwards! Release the pigeon! That is an order, son! Do you understand me? Sir!
Edwards hesitantly releases the messenger pigeon. The chaotic battle themes are suddenly replaced with beautiful piano notes. The game takes you away from all the gunfight and lets you see the world through the eyes of a defenseless bird. Have you ever stopped and wondered that during the times of these devastating wars, the sky was just as beautiful and vibrant as we see it today? And in stark contrast, how horrifying the war truly was. The war pigeon reaches the headquarters to deliver Pritchard's final message. an artillery strike on their own coordinates. The strike annihilates the German soldiers while miraculously sparing the tank. But almost like a form of karma, a sharp nail hits Townsend and he gets wounded in his lower abdomen.
Is that right? All we got out here is blind orders and chance. Which will do for us first, you reckon?
I'm sick of your lip, McManus.
Aye, aye, sir.
The three survivors somehow push into a foggy forest near Boulogne. Edwards is ordered to scout ahead and clear the German roadblocks and enemy apparatus. After getting cleared, they move on. Just before dawn, the spark plugs stop working and Black Bess comes to a halt. Edwards and McManus are ordered to go out and scavenge for parts from the captured tanks in the village.
Let's go. Good luck.
While out there, McManus, who's had enough of Townsend's blind and thoughtless orders, initially suggests Edward to desert and leave Townsend behind. But Edward refuses to do that and leaves by himself to get all the spark plugs. After scavenging all the spark plugs, Edwards returns to the Black Bess. He was almost nearly killed by a German soldier, but thankfully, McManus reappears just in time and saves them.
I lost my way back there. There's no right way in a place like this. We'll find one. You're the driver.
Edwards installs the new parts and tries to start the tank. But the tank doesn't start.
I've done everything right. Everything.
Edwards has a valid crash out. He starts swearing and hitting the engine out of spite and frustration. And that seemingly works.
Hey, Edwards! She likes it when you swear, boy!
See? I told you, you're gonna love him. At sunrise, the crew battles through the village, destroying waves of infantry, light tanks, and A-7Vs. After winning the battle, Townsend is wounded, but he sounds a bit hopeful that if they reach Cambrai in time, he could be healed, and they might be saved.
Artillery! Drive! Drive!
Enemy artillery strike disables Black Bess again. Edwards tries to examine the situation, but
Okay, Edwards.
McManus tries to defend the tank by himself, but he gets shot from behind, leaving a wounded Townsend to fend off for himself. After getting shot, Townsend looks at the leaking gas pipe.
Sorry, Bess.
To me, Townsend is different because he tried his best to hold on to his life until he realized what he must do. And McManus is much more interesting because despite his cynical characteristics, he actually comes back to save his crew, which leads us to show that human beings are not two-dimensional characters, but actually three-dimensional. The bloods of his enemies and his friends made the entire glove red. Thankfully, McManus survived the bullet injury.
Edwards.
Before going to pick him up, Edwards quickly took off his gloves and placed them on top of the destroyed remains of Black Bess.
So, what do we do now, driver?
We walk.
The gloves he left behind symbolizes his old self, because after this, he will no longer be the chauffeur he once was.